Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Divine Journey. So, I have spent pretty much the entire weekend on this pack. Working on some stuff, and we needed to move away from Nether Stars, and I've been meaning to do that for a while. But I was kind of waiting for once we hit endgame so we can start moving into turbines, and then later on we'll do a Draconic Evolution reactor. It was... we're pulling in a lot of power, like quite a bit anyways. Like about 60,000 per tick or something like that. But anyways, we have some stuff to go over, quite a bit to go over, and then we're going to get into some really fun stuff that's going to help us really push into endgame. Up here, I have added additional teleports. So we have overworld teleports. This is a separate section. I haven't filled it out yet, but we do have Mob District and Tech District plugged up. And then... let's see, we've got the Dire Crafting Chamber, which you guys have already seen, the Entry Hall, Roof Access, which we're going to go up there in a minute, and it's quite different up there. We have the Minicio Farm. We're going to go over there in just a minute, and it's actually in a different dimension because it's going to be a lag fest once everything's plugged up. But I will say we're going to be moving away from the RF Tools Crafter and the Cyclic Assembler. Those are kind of like, it's not effective in-game crafting at all. So we'll go over that in just a minute. The control room and the reactor. Okay, we'll go over there in a second. But the control room, I want to show this to you guys. Well, actually, I'll show you that in a second. That I'm pretty happy with, and I'll show you how I set everything up. I've started actually working on it. It's not done, but... let's pop over to the Tech District. And the Tech District teleport brings us down here, because I actually like this area, and we don't really spend a whole lot of time in this area. And I moved the portal to the last millennium down here. Part of that is just due to the fact that it was so laggy. Up in the storage building right now, which that's going to be gone soon, hopefully. I did rebuild this roof, but it messed up again. I swear there's like always like loose saplings around this. But over here, I did spend a little bit of time in the overworld building because we're about to move into that full time. But as you'll see, I did do a ton of stuff elsewhere. So I did add a roof to this finally. This finally has a roof. It does. It's good. Down here, if we pop down here, we no longer have to worry about getting wither. Look at this. The whole reactor is gone. It's just gone. And you'll see why that is. I've expanded and refined stuff a bit. Also, the Nether Star generator is gone, and if you look here, we're staying at steady full capacitor bank. And then up here, we have our teleport to the in-game tower, which of course takes us into the teleport chamber. Now, one thing I wanted to note is over in the agriculture district, the imaginary time blocks that were running the Minicio, those are gone. I moved those and I had to craft more to get us ready for this episode. So let's pop up to the reactor first, or the control room. The reactor. Let's go to the reactor. So right up here, this is actually on the top floor of the building. And you can see I'm going to cover this top because I've got a bunch of stuff up here. But this is our new reactor. It is 11, this is interior length. It's 11 interior length, so 13 altogether. And then it's 3 wide through here, 5 if you count the ends. And then it is 5 tall, 7 if you count the top and bottom. Okay, so 11 by 3 by 5. And this thing is a actively cooled reactor. So you can see it's pumping in water and it's producing steam. Now really the only... like all you have to do to make it actively cooled instead of passively cooled is add a reactor access, or not a reactor access port, a reactor coolant port. These right here. And I've got them on the blue side, which is insert. So they're inserting water into that. And over here, I've got transfer nodes. All of these have 2 stacks of world interaction upgrades and a stack of speed upgrades. And you can see how fast it's kicking through water right now. Now, if you wanted to, you could have your turbines feed the water, because after they produce steam, they get water or after they get steam and they run it through, it turns into water, and it's equal amounts. You know, in my Direwolf series, that's how I had it set up, was the water was exact. And so it would feed steam from the reactor into the turbine, and then that turbine would turn it back into water, and of course create power in the process. And then that water would then get cycled back into the reactor and then sent back over. So I didn't have to have any water input. But I wanted to have the reactor off-site from the turbines because they just fit better into the base. So I just have, it's 4 transfer nodes. And we're going to be using transfer nodes again today. A bunch of these. So, and I mean, this thing is eating through water. And then I have reactor coolant ports out through here. I guess technically you could probably just have like one reactor coolant port and then maybe like 4 transfer nodes and it would be fine. But I actually like the way this is set up. It's a little bit more organized, I think. And then over here, I've got a ender chest that's connected up on the yellow, white, yellow line. We were actually just about out of yellorium running through that reactor over in the overworld. That's one thing I've never had a whole bunch of is yellorium. So I did set up yellorium seeds just so we could feed this thing. And then right here we have a reactor access port pumping it out. Underneath this tesseract, if we pull this up, it's another reactor coolant port, but this one is red where those were blue. All you have to do that is just hit it with a wrench. Like that. So, and then I've got a special line here called turbines. This is sending fluid. Okay, and then I also have a turbine power line, which I'll show you in just a second. So this one's sending all the steam through a tesseract, and then it's being fed up to the turbines. So, and then let's go to the roof. Let us go to the roof. All right, we have turbines. This is actually going to be, one of these is not set up. I figured we'd set up one on camera, but I wanted to go ahead and change this whole system over because I was eating through nether stars bad. Like, it was like I was constantly at about half power. Like, we were using up that much power. And if I started throttling things on, it got even worse. So I needed to change over power pretty bad. And like I said, I spent pretty much the whole weekend working on stuff. So I didn't want it eating through nether stars as bad as it was. So I went ahead and crafted up turbines. These things actually aren't that expensive. Ludicrite is probably the worst, but even that is super simple. I went ahead and automated it. It's just, I did this recipe here. You can also do Enderium with blaze rods, but nether stars, blocks of emerald, ender pearls, it's not that expensive. I didn't feel like. And then plutonium, of course, we automated that a while back. This actually took a little while to reprocess all of that, but it wasn't terrible. I just ordered up a whole bunch. So these are max size reactors, and that means I have 32 blocks of ludicrite inside of here on the coils, and then I have 80 blades. Now you could technically make these wider. So these are all 5x5s or 3x3 interiors. You could do, I was originally planning on doing like a 5x5 interior or a 7x7, so they wouldn't have to be as tall, but they fit really nicely like this, and the height kind of fits the tower. I mean, everything's big over here. So we will probably decorate these out a bit, so they're a little bit nicer looking than just these huge turbine blocks, but yeah. And if you look in here, there's the stats on it. So it is 80 blades, and each of these is consuming 2,000 millibuckets per tick. The reactor design that I have, which actually, let me show you the control rods, because I did forget to show you that. Up here, the design for this, all of the control rods are 5% insertion. And I just left it like that. That's fine, because this thing's going to be producing right above 16,000 millibuckets per tick of steam. So that's enough. Each turbine consumes 2,000 millibuckets per tick of steam. So that's enough to run 8 turbines, which I think is pretty solid power, because each of those is producing like 25,000, give or take. So it's actually quite a bit of power production, and fairly cheap. I mean, the turbine stuff was so early game that by this stage in the pack, it's so cheap to make that stuff. Right now we have 26,000 cyanide. I think I had like 32,000 or something. I used a lot of cyanide between episodes, so quite a bit of it anyways. But anyways, the design for this, it is literally, the reactor control rods run all the way to the end, just straight down is the layout for it. It's pretty straightforward, I think. Yeah, it's just one line, and then on each side of it, there is just resonant ender. So, pretty easy to craft, and it's not full blocks, it's actually flowing down. So it's just, I put resonant ender along the top, and let it flow down, and that does the same thing as filling it full. So, but yeah, this thing is producing a ton of steam. It is producing a monstrous amount of steam. So anyways, 5% insertion, and yeah, that's the specs on it. And back up to the roof. Then what I've got is, which these do take a while to speed up, which you'll see whenever we set that one up. Over here, what I've got is the tesseracts that are receiving the steam, And then I've got super laminar fluid ducts because these things can actually keep up with the steam usage. It's one of the few fluid transfer systems in the pack, I'd say, that can keep up with the steam that the turbines need. So, of course, Tesseract has like infinite transfer, and then super laminar actually, when it's pressurized, it has infinite transfer as well. So, then I've got the same thing over on this side. So, and then if we go up to the top, the power coming out of this, what I've got is advanced energy transceivers from Draconic Evolution. We're going to be using some of these today. So I've got one on each of these, the turbine power ports, and then they feed into a Tesseract that is turbines, and it's the send-receive energy line. And you'll notice we can use our wireless terminal all around the base now, and that's because I have a wireless, it's actually at the very, very bottom of the tower, but I have a wireless access port, or a wireless thing, whatever it's called. This, right here, yeah, wireless access point. Okay. I've been using, in all the mods I've been using refined storage, so I get them all mixed up, but anyways, these, you can't see the lines, like over here you can see the lines, that's just because these aren't transferring energy right now. Like, we're producing enough power. I think each of these are producing like 25,000 or 27,000. So it's really only pulling energy from like 3 of our turbines, but this is for like future stuff, RF tools level stuff. So, and it really doesn't hurt because we have Yellorium like coming in like crazy. So then over here, I've expanded the farm. So this one was the Draconium farm, right? And then if we pop down here, this is Certus Quartz. And this is actually a very interesting setup. And we're going to get into this, what these wireless receivers are from in just a moment. But what I've got here is I've got the basic capacitor bank with the imaginary time block. And it's set to output redstone. You know, we've covered that before. And most of this is set up the same. Vacuum chest, which really I should probably change it to something else because I've noticed the vacuum chest don't effectively keep up. Now in our minicio farm, we're going to be using indoor collectors that are way faster. But I probably need to change these over to indoor collectors. I just haven't done it. And I guess it really doesn't matter. I mean, these things produce astronomical amount of resources. So, Certus Quartz is a bit tricky because it creates blocks. So what I've got here is I've got the vacuum chest is pumping out, and it feeds into 2 different RF Tools crafters. And this actually doesn't need to be connected up. I'm not really sure. Is that... Okay, that's field right now. So what I've got here is one of these crafters is taking the Certus Quartz essence, doing like that, and it's creating Certus Quartz ore. So 4 at a time. And then this one over here is taking Certus Quartz crystals and Certus Quartz essence and combining it to make pure Certus, because pure Certus is what I'm using in mass for making the 256s. Okay. We're using so much of that. I mean, I've got the dedicated void miners, but it's not enough. So, and originally I was planning on going with a dimension for this, but it's just, dimensions are so late. So it's like, well, we're going to go with this. And then what I've got here is I've got 2 builder blocks from RF Tools. One of these has a shape card, and it's set to keep running with redstone signal, and I've just got it building a 3x3 of Certus Quartz ore. So Certus Quartz ore gets pumped into this skystone chest that's right above that builder. And then of course I got a redstone signal here that's just keeping it running. And then over here I've got another builder that has a shape card clearing quarry. And eventually we'll change this over to a fortune quarry, but not just yet, because we need dimensional shards. And I'm not going to trade with villagers for those. So, and that one's set to keep running with redstone signal, and anything that it gets, which is lots of Certus Quartz crystal, gets pumped into this skystone chest, and then that gets extracted, and part of it gets pumped into this crafter that has some save slots for Certus Quartz crystals, and then save slots for the essences, and then part of it gets pumped out to a drawer here. So this drawer has a stack limit of 2,080, which it's filled at the moment. So it has 133,120, and this actually filled up within maybe 30 minutes or something. I mean, it's crazy fast. It's crazy powerful. Of course, that was with the lever pulled with the imaginary time block running, but even still, it's crazy fast. And then over here, I've got pure Certus Quartz crystal that's coming from this crafter, and getting fed over. And then I have cable that's ran up, and then we just have storage buses on here. So we have access to it in the system. And that's all actually running from the same autonomous activator that's down here. So that one is breaking the crops above and the crops below. So, and then a solenoid there. And then over on the other side, we have, this one is exactly the same as the Draconium, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going over it. All these Lycanites mobs. But anyways, this is redstone alloy, because we needed a lot of that as well for the 256s. And then if we pop down here, this is Yellorium, which this one is slightly different. And the only thing that's really different is the items from the vacuum chest. I did put filters in all of these too, because I have these kind of close to each other, so I figured we'll just throw filters in there and they'll get filtered through. And you'll notice it is passively getting some of those, because of course the 10-10-10s will grow on their own. But then if I want to boost it, I'll hit the imaginary time block on. So anyways, right here we've got yellowite being crafted. So pretty standard. It makes yellowite ore. That gets pumped out to pulverizers, resonant pulverizers with the speed upgrades, the speed augments in them. Which, it's not nearly enough. With 3 of these pulverizers, it's not nearly enough to keep up with an imaginary time block. But it does the trick, because in truth, I'm not really eating through that much Yellorium. And then it gets pumped out the bottom. The Yellorium dust gets pumped out the bottom, and it comes through and goes into an ultimate furnace. And then I've got just an ender chest that's plugged up to our charcoal line, and it feeds in charcoal into that ultimate furnace. Of course, I could do like mini coal or something like that, but charcoal's fine. I don't care. And then the items get pumped out into this drawer, which I actually don't have a storage bus on this. I need to run cable up through this tower and plug this up. But so Yellorium drawer, it's got 10,969 in there, so we should be good for a very long time. And then that gets pumped out to the ender chest that you saw over at the reactor. So that is how that's set up. We're starting to get into a little bit of magical crops. We're not going overboard with them, but we're using some because these in-game setups are just massive. So then let's pop over here, and now let's go check out the control room, which I'm very, very happy with. And then we'll set up our turbine. So our control room, here we go. And this is actually a little hidden door, but I've got it open right now. So, and we're going to be setting up one of these here in a little bit. So what I've got is, all these are labeled with the screens from RF Tools. And so we've got like Draconium Farm, that's our Draconium Ore Farm. Redstone Alloy Farm is our Redstone Alloy. Certus Quartz, Yellorium, and then over here, I haven't plugged up everything, but DRPG Farm, Essence, this is for the Divine RPG farm that we have, the mob spawners. So the one that has the, it's not Essence actually, it's the soul fragments, these things. I've got it plugged up here, so we can just hit this lever and all that stuff from, or it'll start, farming those mobs. Right now I've got it turned off because I really don't need those essences, but, I can turn it on, and then if we take a look at the soul fragments, we should say, we're at 23,948. There we go, 23,949. And it's going to start going up as the mobs get killed and stuff. And then if we come over here and say Redstone Alloy, let's turn that on. We have a lot of Redstone Alloy. You can see that, there we go, it's jumping like 100 every second or two. My TPS isn't great in this pack at the moment, but I'm setting it like 12 or something like that, but it is what it is. And then back here, this is the thing. So what I've got here is, of course, we have the carpenter's levers here on the front, and then each of these feeds into insulated redstone conduits that's all separated, which then feeds into wireless transmitters. Now, not all of these are set up. Only the ones that we're currently using are set up. So each of these has a frequency of its own, and then I have a wireless receiver on the other side, and that shuts those things, or turns those things on and off. So, and like I said, we'll be setting up one of those later. And then back here I have a screen controller. Basically the way this thing works is you set it down, you give it a little bit of power, you scan, and it's going to connect to the screens. It says 12 connected screens. And then that's those screens. It's pretty straightforward. If you look inside these, like I said, we're going to be setting up one of these later, but that's really all there is to it. Set that down, give it power, and which it's actually not consuming any power. Honestly, I could probably pull the Tesseract up and it would be fine. Like if I was to grab this, You'll notice it's not using any power at all. Like, as long as it has some power in it, that's fine. I'm going to leave it sitting there. And that's just because. Just because. But these, like the text cards, they use 0 RF per tick. So. And then if you take a look here, this one actually doesn't have any text in it. That's so that we have that space in between those. So. And then I have these set to large and change the color. But anyways, like I said, we'll get into that later. So. Okay, and then lastly, let's pop over to the minicio farm. I think that's the last thing I want to do. Yeah, let's pop over to the minicio farm. This is actually in the Eden dimension. Here we are, and I do have bunnies spawning up here. Nothing stops them. I actually have a torch down here, magnum torch. And the whole area is lit up and everything, but they still keep spawning. So, I still have to clean this building up. I've got to put a roof over it and stuff, but... Anyways, what we've got is, originally I was planning on building this to use one imaginary time block for 2 farms, but my calculations were a little bit off. I would actually have to raise this, actually drop this second floor down by 1, and have it right around that imaginary time block right there for it to work, and then I feel like it would be such a small space, so I figured, I'm just going to use 2 imaginary time blocks. It's not as efficient, but it looks a little bit better, I think. So it's not as cramped in there. But you can use 1 imaginary time block for 2 farms if you so desire. So basically what I've got here, this is pretty straightforward, and we're going to be setting this stuff up and having it running later today. I haven't made a dimensional anchor for this, but I will. But anyways, autonomous activator there has a Horn of the Wild. Imaginary time block on top of that. And then on top of the imaginary time block, I have a ender chest that is set to lime green, green, lime green. And then above that is an ender collector that's set to maximum range. So if we pop in here, there we go. And of course you can just right click this to set the range. And then above that, imaginary time block, and then water tank with a reservoir and a pressure conduit feeding it down. So and then sprinklers. I only have sprinklers on the upper section because the lower section actually has water right there and along the edges. The top section does not have water because it wouldn't really fit into this style. So I have sprinklers up there to keep it wet. So, but altogether there was 8 minicio farms, and these things are fairly cheap to build out. Imaginary time blocks, I think, probably the most expensive part. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to the minicio farm. I still got to put a bottom on this thing, and like I said, I need to craft a dimensional anchor, but we'll get that. We'll get that crafted. And then I have a little platform out here. We're going to be using this for compressing the minicio into zividecco. I'm honestly probably going to go ahead and set it up so that it compresses fully all the way to zividecco. Or zividecco, I mean. So just let it compress all the way down, I think is what we'll do. So, might as well. So anyways, I went ahead and, like I said, I went ahead and set up 7 of these turbines because I needed to switch over power really, really bad. Because it was just gnawing through nether stars. It was such a waste. And this stuff is super cheap. I mean, really, with the Yellorium farm, it's free. So, anyways, I went ahead and prepped some stuff here. You'll notice this is everything that we need to set up the turbine, minus the housings and the glass. I went ahead and added those because it's really just building this out. It's turbine glass on the spots that you can see through and turbine housings on the frame. But anyways, let's go ahead and just set this up really, really quickly. Just to answer, that way I'll set one up on camera, so if you have any questions about how this is set up and what you need to set it up, this should answer it. But anyways, I'm going to put a turbine controller there, and that's where, of course, we access it and we can see inside of it, activate it. By the way, all of these are set to vent overflow only, so like the water that's filled up here, anything that can't fit into there just gets trashed. Really, I could set it to vent closed, vent all exhaust, because we're not reusing the water, but I just left it because it really doesn't matter. Overflow's fine. And then we're going to need some turbine rotor shafts and turbine blades and ludicrite coils. And all this stuff, I've already shown you ludicrite. Rotor shafts are rotor blades, cyanite, dark steel. It's really just a whole lot of dark steel and cyanite for most of this. These turbines look like I did a lot, but really it didn't take as long as you might think. In most packs it would, but anyways, we're going to run ludicrite, just 8 blocks, and then we're going to bring it up 4 high. So 32 blocks altogether. That's for maximum speed and stuff. And then we're going to run a rotor shaft just all the way up, which I'm going to step out of there real quick. just all the way up to the top, and then our turbine rotor blades, these are going to go around it in each cardinal direction, and then we're just going to bring these up. It's 80 altogether on the rotor blades. And so we're going to bring them just all the way to the top. And I think these things look really cool. Like with them being as tall as they are, they look pretty awesome, I think. And then at the top, we are going to need, well, I'll go ahead and just grab all the rest of the stuff. It's very, very simple, I think, to set all this up. So turbine fluid port, we're just going to stick it right here. It's going to automatically connect into our super laminar fluid duct. There we go. And you can actually change this over. So if it's blue, it exhausts water. If it's red, it imports steam. So pretty much just like the reactor. And the arrows tell you, like, if they're pointing into the black square, then that's import. If they're pointing away from it, it's output. But red is import. Blue is output. In the case of the turbines, now in the reactors it's different. Blue is import and red is output. Because it's inputting water, which is blue, I guess, and steam is red. So it's outputting steam. I guess steam's not really red, I know that, but that's just the way I tend to think of it. So anyways, then at the top, turbine rotor shaft is going to connect into a turbine rotor bearing. Now one thing to note, the turbine rotor bearing has to be closer to the turbine blades than the coil blocks. And the coil blocks need to be on one end, the rotor bearing on the other. So just bear that in mind. And then we're going to have our turbine power port right there. And you'll notice the multi-block just formed. And then all we're going to do is just set this here, our advanced energy transceiver. And we're going to grab our crystal binder. We are going to set this to, let's see, that's set to output. We're going to set it to mode change, which is just shift right click to cycle through. Right click that. It's now output 5 times transfer. It's just faster, stronger. And then we're going to set this crystal binder to bind. Right click, right click. Pretty straightforward, I think. And that's how you connect up those. We're going to be connecting up more here in just a little bit. But alright, and then all we have to do is just drop down here and say activate turbine. Make sure you have 2,000 millibuckets per tick selected and that your efficiency is 100%. And let's go pop down. I want to make sure I've got enough water going into the reactor. Yeah, it's starting to like struggle a little bit more, but I think it's going to be enough. I think with those 4 transfer nodes. So I noticed that anything like I tried doing just like 2 and then 3, it just wasn't enough water coming in to run all those. So right now it's producing about 16. It's starting to kind of drop. I tell you what, I'm going to bring those coils up. I'll drop the ones that I can see, and it should be enough of a difference that it's going to stay. Yeah, see. It's now producing plenty over what we're using. And right now it's just, steam is filled up and it's just producing a solid 16 buckets, which is what we're using up there. So 2,000 buckets is the maximum that a turbine can use, which 32 ludocrite, 80 blades is perfect for that. Like, that's ideal. Now if we look at this one that we just started up, this one right here, you'll notice that the rotor speed is steadily building up. Like if you look at these that have been running for a bit, they're setting at about 1779, 1780. Producing 28,000 RF per tick. This one's only producing 4,000, almost 5,000. But that's going to increase as the speed increases. And it takes quite a while. It takes probably about, I don't know, 30 minutes or something for it to reach its max speed. So it's max RPM. So, and the turbine blades will actually speed up to mimic the speed, which I think that looks like they're running about the same speed. It's like a cutoff point, but they'll slowly start up. But yeah, that's pretty much it to these. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But I think it's all pretty straightforward. So I think so. I just want to set up one of those on camera because we haven't technically done a turbine on camera in this series. I've done them in other series, but oh, and you know what? I almost forgot. We have completed some quests. We have 10 quests done. So let's take a look here. Farming, I made wither seeds, 24 reinforced obsidian for that. Manual and seeds, we get a solar generator. Smells like wet obsidian, we get a furnace generator. Smells like cooked rubber, lava generator, and then earth's true steel, ender generator. So terra steel seeds. We've already looked at all those. And also the zividecco, I was able to craft one of those, and we get a Gaia spirit for that. We still have 3 more of these though to craft. And I think right now We have 60 mass Zividecco. Like, if I wanted to craft another one of these, it would be 320 mass Zividecco blocks in total. So expensive, right? And then in addition, of course, I'm sure you guys saw whenever I started the episode, I did craft up our, which we are just about out of Awakened Draconium. We have a little bit, and then I think I've got like 2 hearts left. I'm going to have to go farm the Ender Dragon again. But anyways, Draconic Helm, we get an Icorium block. Another Icorium block for the chest, and then the legs, Icorium block, and boots, Icorium block. Okay. Which I was out of Icorium. I'm actually probably going to use that Icorium to craft the, or at least some of it, to craft the Awakened Icorium Axe. Because we're going to need that. Just to complete the quest, really. Which I have to do the research before I can do that, but... which means I'll probably crash. So anyways, let's go ahead and then turn our attention towards the minicio farm, because we're going to need a lot more minicio coming in. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a wireless receiver, because of course we're going to want to connect this up to our control room. I'm really happy with the control room. And then in addition, I'm going to want speed upgrades, world interaction upgrades. I actually don't need that many of these. I crafted too many of these. I was crafting them for the water things. I actually only need, like, I don't know, I'm going to grab like a half stack. Speed upgrades, though, I am going to need to order a bunch more of these. So we'll just go ahead and get, that should be good. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that'll be plenty. And, well, technically, let me get a little bit more of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That should be good. And then in addition, I'm going to want crafting tables. And then I'm also going to want a tier 3 crafter, which I guess technically, well, you know what, technically I could just go get the one, this one, or the one over in the building. This was one of the ones that we had set up in the building. Let me go ahead and forget everything. Well, I don't even feel like messing with that. I'll just throw it into there and get the one that I just made. Okay, that. And I also made another Master Infusion Stone, because for this setup I'm going to want 3, I think. And I might actually want another crafter. I'm not for sure yet. So I'm going to go ahead and grab another one of those. And then in addition, I'm going to want Tesseract. This one's library input. I have no clue. No actual clue. Then we're also going to want energy. These, I think we got these from a quest or something. I don't know. Because I had some, and I had wireless energy transceivers, which I don't think I've ever made. I might have, but I don't think so. I'm fairly certain that I haven't. Well, no, because I haven't made a particle generator yet. Is there not a advanced wireless in this pack? I just noticed that. Oh, there is. Advanced wireless transceiver is what it's called. Okay. Anyways, energy relays. Let's go ahead and order ourselves another 4. I think it crafts 4 at a time, so there we go. 6 of those will be good, and then I can just break these down into the energy transceivers. I don't really need the advanced ones for over there. It's not going to need that much power. And I think that's the main... Well, I'll tell you what. I also want item transfer. And we'll get some transfer pipes. And I'm also going to want some ender chests. I'm going to need a bunch of these. So go ahead and give me, like... go ahead and give me 12 for right now. That'll be fine. And then also I'm going to want chests. Diamond chests will be great. Go ahead and give me another... Well, I really only need, I think, 1 more of those. But and I really don't need diamond chests. I could use standard chests, which would be fine. But I want to be fancy, and I want to use a diamond chest. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's pop over to... Well, actually, before we go over there, let's pop over to the Tech District. And our 2 Master Infusion Stones that are up here, I'm going to go snag those. I'm going to go steal them from the setup. Which means the crafting is going to pretty much stop, but the farms aren't really running at full speed anymore. Like, there's no imaginary time block, and honestly, those farms could go at this point. Look at that. FPS is all of a sudden way better. Like, this crafting is super laggy. Wait till we set up our actual crafting. I know in my test world, like, I didn't even feel it. Like, it wasn't, and it was running with creative stuff in my test world. Like, just creative minicio, and it... I keep wanting to go there. I need to maybe move that up here or something. I don't know. That teleport. I love these dislocator pedestals, if you can't tell. Like, I absolutely love them. Okay, so we got our 3 Master Infusion Stones. Let's pop over now to the Minicio farm. And this was actually originally suggested by Xavian on the Discord. I totally forgot that this was even a thing. Like, because I've never needed... That comes to mind, I don't think I've ever needed crafting this fast. He had brought it up on the Discord. He was like, hey, have you tried this? And I was like, well, no. Like, I totally forgot that was a thing. And, yeah, it's powerful. What we're going to be using is transfer node crafting from extra utilities. And it's perfect for this. It was made for Divine Journey Minicio. Like, it was totally made for it. So what we're going to do, of course, we have those ender chests that are going to be feeding in items, right? I need to make a dimensional anchor, and I need to make more Alpha class panes. I think I have some in the system, but that's fine. Because I broke those to get inside there, and I didn't replace them, but... So what we're going to be doing, these ender chests that we've got, the lime, green, lime, and I left that one there for an example. What we're going to do is, let's go ahead and take our crafting table, and we're going to have, basically we're going to have 2 of these set up for breaking down the Minicio. So I'm thinking we'll have a crafting table sitting right there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to have a chest sitting right there. Get out of here. Okay, so crafting table, chest, and then a crafting table on the other side of the chest. And this will be for our first setup, and then I'll have, then right over here we'll have another setup. So we'll have just 1 crafting table, I think is going to be plenty for that setup. And then what we're going to do, if you're not familiar with the, actually let me pop through, I need those ender chests. And I need green and lime green dyes as well. I don't have any wireless connection, I don't have any access to my AE system over there. Okay, so our 12 ender chests are done. And do I have any space in this that I can... I'll put the crystal binder up for right now. And then let me get... Go ahead and send me like 20 lime dye. And then 20 green dye. And then we'll pop back over to the Minicio farm. So basically, if you haven't used... Which I actually had to go do a refresher on this crafting when I first started, when I went to test it and everything. Basically, when you use transfer nodes to craft... basically these crafting tables is where you're going to be doing the crafting from. It uses vanilla crafting tables, and it checks behind it in relation to where the item transfer node is connected. So what we'll do is we'll have like item transfer node sitting there, item transfer node sitting there, and item transfer node sitting there. So what it's doing, it's checking the inventories behind it in a 3x3. So we're going to have the chest sitting there, and basically you lay it out like a crafting grid. So that chest is going to be the middle slot. And then what we're going to do is, let's take these ender chests, because it does work with ender chests, which is awesome. We're going to go ahead and lay out 4 of these, and this will be lime, green, lime. Well, actually, I've got that one over there. I left that one out so I could remember the color combo. So we can use that one. So really, I don't need as many ender chests as I made. So we're going to use a few of them. We'll have 2 left over. Go ahead and grab that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to lay these out. These are all connected to the line that's going to be receiving the Minicio. And we're going to set down ender chest. Will these stack? Yeah, they will. And then we'll do ender chest, ender chest, ender chest. And these 2 crafting tables are going to be able to use the same inventories, because behind this one, like behind the transfer node face is inventory, behind the transfer node face is inventory, and they can both pull from the same inventory. And they'll both use the same Master Infusion Stone. So in the diamond chest that's right here in the middle, we're just going to throw in that Master Infusion Stone. I'm going with the diamond chest just because I think it looks better than just sticking a wooden chest right there. But you can go with a wooden chest, you can go with a drawer. Well, I don't know about a drawer. I didn't personally test drawers because it wasn't what I was wanting, but I know Xavian said in the Discord he said they don't really work well with drawers. And then we're going to make another, which actually, yeah, I'm going to need another ender chest, because I'm going to need an input chest as well. Actually, 2 input chests. Yeah, okay. We're totally going to need those. But we're going to go with another chest line here, and that's going to be green, lime, green. And then I'm going to need 2 more. So I'm going to go ahead and just color these. I'm using ender chests because they're nice. You could also use tesseracts, that would work too. But the benefit of doing this is we have all these different inputs that have, you know, these ender chests, and then they're all pumping into these ender chests, and all of these have the same inventory. So they're all pulling from basically the same inventory to craft from. It's really a beautiful thing whenever you see it run, because I know I've had a lot of questions regarding the minicio setup and how we're going to handle this, because we need a lot of minicio in this pack. This system is a monster. It is an absolute monster. Like, it's probably going to be able to keep up with these farms, no problem. Like, it fills a drawer in, like, seconds. And, like, with Axio Essence. And then, like, drawers with upgrades, it still fills it, like, without too long of a wait, you know. So then we're going to put down our drawers, or our ender chests right there. This is our green lime green, which is going to be our Axio line. Because this is going to be producing so much Axio, I kind of want a dedicated crafting setup for that. And then we're going to have another transfer node on this side. The other one's going to feed into another green lime green. So you could run it over to the same green lime green if you wanted to, but I just feel like it's faster that way, and it's not like ender chests are hard to craft. And then we're going to set this up, pow, 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 and pow. And so that's pretty much the same thing. So it's feeding Axio into that. Axio is being used in this chest, or with this crafting table, to craft then whatever essence comes next. I can't remember. Crucio. And if we find that we need a specific Crucio setup, we can set one of those up. It's not a problem, but I don't think we'll need one for Crucio. I think from there, the RF Tools Crafter can maybe keep up with what we want. So, and then, of course, Master Infusion Stone goes into the chest. So, there we go. And then what we're going to do is, let's see, I'm going to want some dye and some more ender chests, 2 more ender chests. So let me pop through. So we did actually need the 2 that we threw out. Okay, so then what we're going to have is an ender chest line that takes the Imperio and then sends it to our RF Tools Crafters, which I'm going to have them setting on the opposite side. The nice thing is this doesn't use up any power for this setup, and it uses like very minimal resources as far as PC resources. Like, I didn't notice it being all that laggy at all, whereas like the RF Tools Crafter is super laggy, and the Cyclic Assembler was pretty laggy too. So I'm going to go white lime green and white lime green for these. I don't think that's a used line. And we're going to set one of these down right there. And then the other one is going to set down right here is fine. Okay. And then we're going to set up our crafter. And actually the Axio setup we're not going to need. I don't know if I'm going to use item conduits or what. I think I might use item conduits. We'll see. Now over in here, these transfer nodes, I'm going to put in a world interaction upgrade. You only need 1. Because basically it's just telling it that it can use this crafting table to craft. Now I will say that adding these speed upgrades, you do get diminished returns, I've noticed. So, I mean, probably like 2 or 3 would be fine, but we're going to go ahead and give it full on these for crafting the minicio. And then this one over here, world interaction upgrade, and we'll do... I'll probably go ahead and just grab the other speed upgrades that are over there that we crafted, because we made more of these. So, and that way it knows, okay, I can use this for crafting. So technically we can engage this right now and see how fast it crafts. So what we're going to do, let me pop through here real quick. I am going to need a capacitor bank. And I'm just going to go ahead and order a vibrant capacitor bank. That's fine. And then let me get a little bit of lapis. We'll use that as our input. Let's go ahead and get ourselves some item conduits and conduit speed upgrades. Go ahead and give me 15 of those. And over here, this last ender chest, I'm going to go ahead and color this blue, blue, blue for our input line. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to grab those speed upgrades. That'll be fine, though. This is still crazy fast. The speed upgrades basically determine how fast it's going to craft this stuff. And then we'll put item conduits. We might change this over to transfer nodes if we find that the item conduits are not fast enough. But honestly, I think handling just the Imperio, I think they'll be fast enough. So, we'll see. Because they're going to be able to pull like a stack a second or whatever. And actually, let me grab some essence. And 1, 2, 3 of those. We'll go ahead and grab them, just so we've got them. So it'll be like half the speed of this setup on the left. And I went ahead and got some zividecco essence. I want to set up this RF Tools Crafter real quick. So we're going to say that, let me actually break down a little bit of this stuff real quick. going to set this to redstone on to activate. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just remove this stuff. We're going to say you take Master Infusion Stone and Crucio and apply, Crucio and apply, and then we'll do one more. Which I don't think it actually, from what I noticed, it doesn't really speed it up to do it multiple times because you still only have one Master Infusion Stone, but maybe I'm just not noticing it, but so we'll put it in there anyways. And then that's how you make zividecco. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to teach it that if you take zividecco like that, you're going to get a zividecco block. Then if you take zividecco blocks like that, you get a mass zividecco block. And I need to go through, and all of these, we're going to set these to internal, except for the mass zividecco block. That's the only one that we're going to leave in the external slot. Because I'm not really using like a whole lot of like just single zividecco. I just want to turn all of this into mass zividecco, and then from there zividecco, or zivid trio, civi, whatever, octo, I don't know. Anyways, and then we're going to go ahead and save some spots for this stuff. So Crucio is going to get a fair number of slots. Imperio is going to get a fair number of slots, and then zividecco will get a few, and then zividecco blocks, and I don't know, we'll give that to Crucio. Oh wait, no. No. We'll do like that, and then Master Infusion Stones in these two. And remember the current layout. There we go. And since we're not having anything, all of these are staying inside of here, except for the Master zividecco block, so we're not going to have to worry about the Master Infusion Stone coming out of this. Okay, and then I'm just going to throw all this stuff into there. There we go, and we'll say ignore redstone, so it's going to be able to craft this stuff, and there's a Master zividecco block. Woo. And then I'm going to put this Master Infusion Stone back in here, and we should be all set. So let's turn on the minicio production. I want this thing to start running and making us that mass zividecco. It's going to be way faster than what we had before. So just a warning. It might become a lag fest in here when I turn this on. I'm not for sure. We're about to find out, I guess. So what we're going to do is we're going to say this is connected to the turbines. That's fine. Receive energy is good. And let's go ahead and get a few of these. And these can only connect to 2 things at a time. The advanced ones can connect to 4. Let's change this to input. I actually plugged that up to the wrong thing anyways. I just realized. Let's put the Tesseract right there. And it's going to have one energy transceiver here that's connected directly onto it. We're going to say this is input. And then we're going to bind this over to our RF Tools Crafter, because this always needs to be receiving power. And then we're going to have another RF Tools Crafter, which is going to be setting, well, I'll go ahead and put it down. It's going to be setting like right here. And we'll put an energy transceiver right there. These two are set to output. So we're just going to bind that up. And then let's grab this connection again. And we're going to bind it to this other RF Tools Crafter. And everything you really need to know is down there at the bottom right. You can see output and connections. If you shift right click, you can see on the left or the right, you can see the mode that you're on. So I think that's pretty straightforward. You just bind it and then make sure it's output on things that are feeding in energy into this stuff. Now there's also the wireless energy transceiver. This thing is nice because it can wirelessly plug up to machines. You don't actually have to like put a transceiver onto the block. You can set just down a wireless transceiver, feed power into the transceiver, and then connect the transceiver to, I think standard is 16, I think the advanced is 32 or something like that, machines. But in this case, I'm only using 2 machines, and these things do require particle generators, which are, I haven't automated these yet, so I'm going to say they're expensive at this point. They're not really expensive, but it's something that we're going to have to get automated soon. So, alright, so these two have power. I'm going to go ahead and set this to fast on both of these. And then we're going to pump power out from there to a vibrant capacitor bank that's feeding into the Tesseract. And the reason I have this here is so I can set active with signal. So it's only going to output when it receives a redstone signal, which is of course very important for us. And then we're going to set up, I actually need one more, let's see, 2, no, I'm just going to craft all of these, whatever. Actually, that's not even enough. I'm going to have to get more of these, but that's fine. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, because each of these can only plug into 2 things. Now technically I could connect these into a relay, because if I recall, the relay has a lot more connections, 10 connections. So I guess I could do that. Yeah, we'll just do one of these. And set this to bind. We're going to bind over to the relay. And then from the relay, we are going to bind. And then we have to plug up energy to each of these imaginary time blocks. So we'll do like one sitting there. These are already, by default, they're set to output, so we don't have to change that over. Oh yeah, in this version, in 1.10 it saves the location, which is a wonderful thing. But it doesn't save the location in this version, so you have to keep going back down to the main one. I am still going to need another set of energy transceivers, just 2, but... Alright, let me pop through. Let me go get some ALF glass and some energy transceivers real quick. Because honestly, when this thing's running, it's going to totally, like, obliterate this dimension. I imagine. I imagine it's going to. So, I mean, in my test world, I wasn't getting much lag. Of course, I didn't have the minicio farms running. I just had them in creative making the minicio. So, this is going to be kind of crazy, I have to say. So, that is all plugged up and ready to go. These are all ready to receive power. And then what we need to do... The last thing that we need to do is set up the redstone control. So what we're going to do, let's actually pop up, well, let me get just some cobble. Let's pop up to the control room. I can't remember the last number that I used on this. I think it's 405 or 4005. Yeah, 4005. The 4000s is my like control room stuff. So what we're going to do then, let's pop right down here. Wireless receiver is going to set right there. We'll set it to 4006, which actually those autonomous activators are going to need power too. I almost forgot about them. Yeah, we're going to have to get a little bit more, like 4 more of those relays. Let's see, to the control room. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this, yeah, this one right here will be on minicio farm. We're going to set this to 4006. Okay. So just like the one that we set up in the minicio farm. And then what I want to get is the text modules. Oh yeah. So nice having these. So you can just kind of like run down to wherever you're trying to get to. Alright, so text modules I'm going to need, well actually for this I'm only going to need 2. And then what we're going to do is just open up our screen and we'll throw in our 2 text modules. And we're going to say large font. If you don't use large font, if I was to type in minicio, like that's how small it is. Large font, there we go. So, and I'm going to change this to, you can't go back. I'm going to change it to like a lime green. And let's try to get this centered nicely. It's about as centered as it's going to get. And then farm, lime green. So there we go, minicio farm. I can't really get minicio centered. I think it's because all the eyes, it makes it like smaller. Yeah. So that's about the best I'm going to be able to do. Actually, I wish, oh, I can't remember the name of the mod. There's a better screen mod than RF Tools. RF Tools is okay. But the one, I used it in Crack Pack, right? It's the one that's originally made for the IC2 reactors. Like Reactor screens or something like that. It's so much better than this one. And I guess technically I could have done large font and give this a little bit more space. I think that's a bit better. So, and then whenever I want to put the next line, I'll just put like a text and leave it blank. Maybe put large on there so it's a bigger space, and then I'll put the next 2 text modules in there. Yeah, that's a bit of a difference. I like that. So, okay, so minicio farm, and then all we have to do is pull that lever, and it's going to turn on the imaginary time blocks. Before we do that, though, we are going to need to get ourselves another energy relay, which they craft 4 at a time, so I've got some of those. And actually, I'm going to need another one, because I want the autonomous activators to have power all the time, I think. Well, does it really matter? Because if they have power all the time... Well, actually, I do need 2 energy relays, but... If they have power all the time, the thing is they're going to break crops, and we're still going to get TPS lag from all those minicio crops growing. Because farming is probably the worst possible thing for performance. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them only receive power when the imaginary time blocks are running. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I do need another relay as well. Which also means I need more alpha glass panes in addition. I need to get the rest of the teleport system in because it honestly kind of makes me lazy because I can just like literally stand in place and click on that like to go wherever I want to go. Okay, so we're going to put a relay down right there and we're going to bind that to that. And then let's go ahead and grab that. And then we're going to plug up all of our autonomous activators. So they're only going to farm when we engage. Now technically this thing will continue farming for a while after it's disengaged, but if I want to leave it off for a little while I can. So just kind of gives me the option. Okay, so everything is plugged up now. And let's pop over to the control room real quick. Wait, no, I don't want to pop over to the control room right now. I don't want to turn it on from the control room right now anyways. And the reason being is because like I'm going to have to load back in there so we can look at it to see it running. And it'll be easier if I just load it on site, I think. And then we'll see. This is honestly something I'm probably going to mainly run when we're not recording. Because it's going to probably be pretty laggy, I think. With 8 imaginary time blocks running. Even if we're not in this dimension, I think it's going to be pretty laggy. We'll see. But if I was to hit this. Let me set this to outputs. Oh, you know what? I didn't set this to input. Mode change. Input. Oh, I feel it now. FPS just bodied. Oh, good God. What? What? Master Infusion stones for days. What in the world? Okay, let me turn this off. God. What is this? What is it doing? Oh my God. It wasn't doing this in my test world. Why is it duplicating Master Infusion stones? Oh, that's bad. Yeah, this is a bad thing. It was totally not doing this in my test world. I don't know if it has to do with maybe the ender chest or... Well, I was using ender chest in my test world. I don't know why it's doing this. But it's crazy. What are you doing this for? It like gets a little bit of minicio, and look at this. Like that's bad. That's a very bad thing. Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you what. Let me go get a trash can and oh. Okay, I totally had to screenshot that. That's gonna be like the thumbnail. Just Master Infusion stones. Just so you guys are like, what? Anyways, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to set a vacuum chest down, and it's going to be setting like right here. And it's going to absorb all of the Master Infusion stones. And we're going to put a filter in here and say that you can only accept Master Infusion stones. And then we are going to pump said Master Infusion stones out. God, the lag is legit. Okay, I finally got that cleaned up. I'm actually going to make... I was freaking out. Like, I was like, let me just get something to put it down because there was Master Infusion stones everywhere. I'm actually going to go with an ender collector and a filter on the trash can, I think. Would be better. Okay, so... let's, item filter, Master Infusion stone. And we'll just put that back. It's going to fill it back up anyways, so I might as well. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Oops. Set our trash can down right there. And our ender collector, well, actually put this on it first. And we're going to go ahead and increase that to a 4-block range. So whenever it starts chunking out Master Infusion stones, there's actually probably still some floating around down here. Yeah, look at this. This is just ridiculous. Oh my gosh, look at all the Master Infusion stones. Okay, well anyways, that's good enough, and then I'll clean up the rest of those. I mean, if you want a lot of Master Infusion stones, there you go. There's a bit of a bug for them. Okay, well anyways, now with that, they should get picked up as soon as they get dropped. And let me pull off my magnetization just to be on the safe side. Let's go ahead and hit this lever. FPS drops. Look at it, it's just eating things. But let's take a look right here. It is as fast as it can get the minicio. If we take a look here, it's so laggy. Yeah, look at all the axia that's being made. It's as fast as all these farms can produce it at the moment. Because it's going straight into these ender chests and it's getting immediately crafted into axia. So, there we go. It's still going to take a while to build this up. But I mean, it's making massive ACL blocks right now, which is, I mean, that's not too bad. So, and this seems to be keeping up just fine. And then what we can do is, well, I just put away all my item conduits, didn't I? Let me turn this off for a minute. I don't want to have to load into this. And honestly, the added lag from this is terrible. Like, look at it. It's just like, raw, just eating blocks. Eating master infusions. I don't know what's causing that. It was not doing it in my test world. Like, it was just sitting there and it was running all pretty and everything was all good. And then it was like, nope. And let me go ahead and grab the zividecco that we've got. I'm going to go ahead and grab these massive ECL blocks. Honestly, though, I mean, yeah, it still takes a minute, like a few seconds to get a massive ECL block. Oh my god. That's going to be such a problem. Like, it's throwing them outside of... Ugh. I'm going to have to build like a wall around this. Is what I'm going to have to do. Because it's just, look at it, it's just like... What is this mess? Why is it doing this? I'm going to have to play around with it and see if I can fix that. Like, I don't know. It wasn't doing that before. Oh, God. Okay. Anyways, we're going to pump out. We're going to say extract is always active. And you can insert. And then, there we go. There's our massive VCO blocks. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to set up a recipe. Say that's how you make Zivuno. And oh, that's going to stay internal. And then if you take Zivuno and combine it with that, you're going to make Zividuo, which is also an internal recipe. And then those two make Zivitrio, which is also internal. And then Zivitrio makes Ziviquadro, which is internal. And then we have Ziviquadro makes Ziviquinto. Then if you take Ziviquanto, you get Zivisexto. And then if you take Zivisexto, you get Zivisepto. And then Zivisepto becomes... I guess that's going to have to be external. That creates Ziviocto. So we still have to make Zivionto and zividecco. So, well, anyway, there's one RF Tools Crafter field. Which is good. Then I guess Ziviocto, that's going to be getting pumped out. And then I could set up another RF Tools Crafter, I guess, and do Zivionto and zividecco. I can't do it right now because I don't have any Zividocto. But, yeah. I'm not going to save any slots on this because it really doesn't matter. It's just compacting that stuff down. And then we can also just use an RF Tools, like Tier 2 Crafter. It looks like this one's not creating the infinite blocks now. It's just this one. It seems like. Unless it's just so fast that it's, you know, not even visible. But look at this, like, light show that's going on in here. That's like all the minicio that's being grabbed from this. It's insanity. It's insanity, I tell you. I mean, it's making Zavicio blocks at a decent rate right now. Now, granted, let's take a look at the TPS. It's not great. It's actually not as low as I was thinking it would become. So, I think what I'm going to do is let me actually pull off this lever. And we're going to go toggle this on from the redstone control chamber. Is this still running somehow? Okay, no, it stopped. Now that one's not getting, these aren't getting broken, and I wonder why that is. Is the autonomous activator too low? So we may only be running at like half speed. Okay, let me sort some stuff out here real quick. I'm gonna raise the autonomous activator because it's got to be it. It's got to be too low down. Okay, I got everything changed over, so let's pop over to the control room. And we're gonna go turn this thing on. I wonder if I can actually zone into there very easily. So we'll hit the minicio farm lever, and I feel a little bit of a chug. It's not bad, in truth. I don't know how it's going to be like building and stuff, but yeah, there we go. And the upper ones are now breaking too, properly. So, then if we take a look in here, it should be kicking through these fairly quickly at this point. And there we go, we're making mass zividecco. So this is something, it's still going to take a little while for this to build up, but honestly it's going to build up way faster than what we had set up before, and it's going to be able to keep up with the crafting. Now it's still creating an army of trash over here at the moment, but I don't think that's going to be able to be helped. So I don't think there's much I can do about that. But I'm going to do some testing in my test world, see if I'm going to set up the exact same layout, because it looks like it's only doing it with the Axiocraft, or the Imperiocraft, Cruciocraft. Yeah, Crucio? Yeah. But look how much, like, Crucio is actually being produced. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff coming in at the moment. And then once this stuff runs up and I get the zividecco, then I'll set up the next crafter over and we'll start plugging all that stuff up. So I think for quests, yeah, we're up to zividecco. So we have to go up to zividecco, which is 10 times. So it's sanity. Just like a light show here. But now I know I can at least zone into this area. Now technically we still have all that minicio and that deep storage. I'm probably just going to leave it. I'll probably break the harvesters that are over there just to kind of help our TPS so it's not farming minicio over there at all in the agriculture district. Because it's really not necessary, I don't feel like. There's not a whole lot of point in it. With our new setup, I mean that's going to trump that old one by a lot. Anyways, I want to take a look at the achievement book. Now you'll notice this. Atricus already let me know it's due to the Draconic Evolution armor that causes it. If you recall, I think it happened to us in Project Ozone as well. Now this right here, start the auto crafting of extra cells because you'll need them for your second creative item. I'm going to go ahead and mark that off because I like the system that we have at the moment. It works perfect. So I don't want to change that up really. Still need to upgrade the Blood Altar, but we've made the Wyvern armor. Wyvern tools, we haven't made an upgrade modifier yet, or the Draconic Core. We're going to be getting into the Draconic Core soon. Draconic Armor we've done. We need to do the upgrade modifier, capacitors, kill the Chaos Dragon. I like how this isn't until here, like, okay, right here it's like build a random dimension, explore it, do all this stuff, then set up multiple huge minicio fields and fully speed up the harvesting of them to autocraft Zivi essences. We're going to mark that off. But this should have been like way before you're doing dimensions and stuff because it's just, it's expensive. And I am probably going to do capacitor seeds fairly soon, I do believe. This we're not going to be doing because I'm actually going to be doing it through mobs instead of the alchemic chemistry set. It's more effective, I think. But yeah, I think once this thing runs for just a little while, like we're going to have zividecco stuff, which is going to be great. Now, in addition, one thing I want to do, I know it's about wrapping up point. I know it's past wrapping up point, actually. But one thing I would like to do is our storage sales. We have 149 256s, so let's go ahead and just order like 2 more of these big ones. Okay, I went ahead and crafted up a few of these quantum entangled singularities. And then the deep storage, we're going to have to order a bit of these. So let's go ahead and order like 30 of them. And it was brought up by Atricus that another YouTuber that was French was doing this. And if you recall I can't remember his name, but if you go ahead and hit shift and then like, let's say you order these. If you recall, we were having issues with them. If I was to order like 30 and I hold shift, it goes to start. So it skips the next screen if you have the items. So that way it doesn't lock up the crafting. Yeah, it's working perfectly. So that does, I know Atricus was asking about it, that does work. So if you just skip that next screen, it'll craft. It just bugs out on that. So, awesome. And then our creative storage upgrade. I'm also going to need a Rune of Lust, Rune of Greed, and I need to upgrade these to actual storage. There we go, another creative storage upgrade. Okay, so the next thing that we'll be working towards, and we'll start working on it next episode. If we scroll down here, let's see. We're going to have to start getting into dry creative sponges, which the Manulin is not too big of a deal. I may actually set up those seeds, but we are going to have to start making fairy blocks, which isn't too bad. If we automate it, it just requires blood, molten obsidian, and ardite. So we are going to need a bit of that for those dry creative sponges. But we are going to start working on getting our first actual creative item, which is the creative cache. So corrupted cores, death cores. Honestly, Corium block. We need what? One of these? This really isn't too bad. I may go ahead and start prepping, because we're going to have to make a bunch of these death protection poppets, so I may go ahead and start ordering those up in mass. Because, I mean, really, I can order... If I was to order 100 of them, what would I be missing, if anything? Gunpowder. Oh, we're getting low on gunpowder because of all that TNT. I may set up creeper seeds, honestly, between this episode and next, because we need gunpowder. We ate through all that gunpowder so fast. And then sugar canes we're missing. That's mainly just because I have the buffers for those set really low. I can upgrade those. That's not a problem. Orange dye, I just need to teach you how to make that. Purple blaze, I need to set that up to an auto farm, which I'm going to be working on that between episodes. I'm going to be doing a lot of mob farm setup stuff between episodes because things like that. Purple rubber bars, that's just because I have the buffers for that set low. Red alloy, that's fine. I can teach you how to do that. The rest of that stuff we have. So it's really just kind of like little things like that. Then I'd be able to order 100 death protection poppets, but that's not that many in the grand scheme of things, but I'll go ahead and start ordering those up. And then we're also going to have to get corrupted draconium. So this stuff is awakened draconium with sludge. It's not expensive, but we are going to have to get a bunch of awakened draconium because we're going to need a bunch of that stuff. So I'm going to kill the dragon a bit. So next episode, we will probably automate making the awakened draconium. That was one thing I wanted to do this episode, but we just don't have time. And yeah, we'll be working on that and working towards our creative cache next episode. So, doing the fairy stuff and whatnot. And the corrupted cores are only used to make the creative cache. So that's good. At least we don't have to have these things for like a lot of stuff. Death cores are only used to make the corrupted cores. So that's actually not too bad. Man, look at all the creative caches we're going to need for that. But anyways, I'm looking ahead a little bit here. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure to hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. If you guys have any questions about the stuff that we covered today, I want to go look at the minicio farm. I'm going to be like popping in here like all the time to see where we're at. God, the lag when you load into here is just awesome. But if you guys have any questions as to the stuff that we covered this episode, do let me know down in the comments, and I'll do my best to get those answered for you. And next episode, we'll start working through more creative stuff. So since this stuff is running, hopefully by next episode, we'll have maybe some zividecco, perhaps, because we're going to need a little bit of this stuff. But I have been putting in a lot of time into this pack, now that we've hit the endgame stuff, so we'll see. Because we're going to need a bunch for the dimension stuff. Anyways, we'll check that stuff out next episode and continue onwards with our in-game stuff. So, anyways, we also might set up the draconic energy storage multi-block because I would really like to get that thing set up soon, but we'll see. I'm honestly leaning towards maybe doing multiples of those. We'll see. So, I have an idea for a build that might involve like maybe 3 of them, just for fun, but we'll see how it goes and whatnot. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope to see you guys next time. And until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys then.